Skeletor!
Help them!
When we start talking about the wight fight at the end of this season 4, where Bran and his crew are ambushed by the wights in the snow, and that's one of the great action scenes from the books.
I think David and Dan had always intended, by the time we got to the 4th season, that we would see a lot more of the wights. So we wanted to test how much we could reveal.
There are ways in which they can move that feel natural, and there are ways in which they can move where you can see a guy in a green suit. I mean, the god is really in the details.
The wight attack has been, the most involved thing I've had to tackle out of the 4 episodes. It's the most complex visual effects thing I've done.
We're working with the costume department on the development of the characters and what they look like. We work with stunts because the characters are being played by stunt performers.
We draw storyboards to illustrate it to everybody. The directors draw storyboards, and out of that they can get an idea of what's going to be required. So you have to have a roadmap for it, and you can do a lot of spade work on getting it done before the directors come on board and then bring their eye to it.
Chris Newman had found this great location in a quarry in Northern Ireland for us to shoot what was, what I always called the bowl. And I wanted there to be this bowl that they had to be going uphill for the tension of they're going up to the cave instead of just on a flat plane, and that they were surrounded by some rocks, so every shot didn't have to be a visual effects background.
We have the White Walkers coming up through the snow, so we've got to build something that will allow them to do that. And then we'll have to dig in like these little pods where the stuntmen have to hide under the snow, and at a given signal they come out.
Well, construction built up a big ramp and dug out troughs, and inside the troughs there's these pods, they call them, and it's like a holding bay and a ramp. And the idea is the stuntman sits inside the holding bay, fill up the ramp with loose snow, and he comes charging out that and then chases them.
We didn't want it to look like just zombies. We didn't want it to be like the kind of wights we'd seen before.
They're older than the wights that have been seen previously on the show. And so they have very old-looking armor.
It does look very different to anything else we've done. It's sort of rotted leather, and then this rather sort of cage-like silver and black armor.
Because these are warriors who were sort of buried or put in stasis to be ready for somebody like Jojen or Bran trying to get through to the cave. They're not walking zombies who are slow. They are there to destroy anybody who crosses. And Bran and his team are in no way ready for one warrior, let alone the 20 or so that start to come out of the snow.
I don't think I've really seen zombies done like that before. I think they're doing sort of new sort of visual techniques for these.
We have our live-action characters having a fight with a dressed-up, prosthetic, green screen stunt person, and then the wight will be animated to replace them with a CG skeletal version of themselves.
I would say if this were a different set of circumstances, one might go full CG on these things, but there's also an advantage to capturing human performance and doing a hybrid approach, and so that's what we've decided to do.
When I found out that I was going to be doing a massive stunt scene this season, I was simultaneously excited, really excited, and absolutely terrified.
The biggest fight is Mira and the Wight 2. That's about a 20-25 second fight. She's never done any fights before, so we had to bring her on slowly and see what her abilities were.
We spent about, altogether, I think it was about 6 days, choreographing the fight, learning it, just blocking through the moves and making it almost like a dance.
Yeah, we've had some stunt training and stuff. Alarmingly, it all came rather naturally to me, swinging hammers and stuff like that, but it was fun. It's definitely fun to break out a bit. I've been waiting for that.
Hoda's fighting is just these irritating little insects on his back, and he just picks hold of them and just chucks them over his shoulder like they're rag dolls, So, he is what he is. He's big and strong, but at the same time, when he attacks with a hammer, he's quite precise, and he's very clean with his cuts because it's Bran.
Save yourself, Bran!
Prosthetics plays a really important part in the design of the wights. They've been in the ground for a really long time, so we see their skeleton, but we also see flesh, and we also see some wardrobe.
It was great to be able to have all the prosthetics and stuff on the wights when we were working with them. But what was really difficult was every time we did a take with the stunt people dressed as the wights, I'd also have to do another take just on my own, miming it, pretending there was someone else doing it.
David and Dan wrote such a great story, as always, into the battle, that it's about those moments. And I never want anyone to forget it's about those moments, because you are tracking Jojen and Mira and Hodor and Bran into a major turning point, not only for Bran, but for the show. And it'll never be the same again.
I know I'm going to die today. I've seen it and know that today is the day that I die. So I've kind of given up.
He's had visions of, seeing his hand burning, symbolising he's going to get burst into flames. So I think he definitely knows this is it.
I was quite amazed when I read in the script that Mira cuts his throat at the end of it to put him out of his suffering and to stop him being attacked by the wights and turned into one of them. Obviously, that's an incredibly difficult thing for her to do.
And then I'm topped off by a Molotov cocktail explosion that burst me into flames. If you are going to die, then everyone wants the best death. And I'm pretty happy with mine, actually.
As a department, we love explosions. Yeah. Basically, we've got a mortar pot, and we've got a charge, and we put some fuel, a bit in a bag, and place it on the mortar pot and bang it off on cue. So it's sort of, it's somewhere around about 10-foot fireball.
He is lost. Come with me or die with him.
For the children of the forest, we asked ourselves, if there was a child that was 1,000 years old that had lived in the forest for all this time, what would he or she look like? And I think that dictated every choice about how they would move, what they would look like, what their hair would look like, what they'd wear.
I always thought they should be really old children. They don't have any way of fashioning clothes. How would they do that? So it's almost like, it's supposed to look like they rolled in it. And it's just sort of, and as because they live in that environment all the time, they've just covered themselves.
They look in some ways similar to wildlings, but they look more ancient. They look like more of an ancient race. At this stage, we don't know a lot about them. I think they're going to be brought into the next season a lot more.
Who are you?
The first men called us the children, but we were born long before them.
So many of these sequences that we've done won't even be, there's no way to conceive of them without this incredible team. They make it even bigger than we were hoping for, because it's quite easy to say, well, why don't we tamp down the ambitions a little bit, and do we really need these wights to be skeletal? Can we just have stuntmen wearing makeup? That's not what makes them happy. They want to shock people every episode and amaze them and make magic, and they do.
You kind of always go in half expecting that it's just not ever going to happen, that you're going to get everything you want on that front. And every year they somehow manage to find ways to get all of that stuff done, and not just get it done, but the quality of the work they do is something that's just really astounding.